Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Wednesday. We've got you through halfway through the week, and we're going to send you into the weekend. Kyle Neddenriep of the Indy Star and Dylan Sinn from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette joins us now. Kyle, how are you, my brother?
Hey, real good. How are you guys doing?
Good. Dylan with us as well. Not that this is what I'm going to talk about, but a quick little baseball note. The Reds are in the Bronx playing the Yankees, which means they should lose 30-0 every night. They beat the Yankees last night. I'm like, what is wrong with the Yankees? It's crazy. How do the Yankees lose ever to the Reds? That's nuts. But they'll probably beat them 50-0 tonight just to make up for that game last night.
Are the Yankees still tearing it up? I'm assuming they are.
Oh my God, it's unbelievable. They are on par to win, like, I forget, 100 and it's like 115 games, I think.
Yeah, as of yesterday, it was 115 games.
and in the record 116.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they're tearing it up.
Isn't it that they haven't won a World? How long has it been since they've won a World Series? It's been what, 2000?
2009.
Oh, 9. That's right.
They won one when A-Rod was there. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm like, how do they not? But they haven't. And but man, oh man, this is like murder. I was talking earlier. This is like the murderer's row Yankees. This is the Joe DiMaggio Yankees. This is those great teams, man. This is a kind of season that they're having, which is nuts.
It's funny when I was growing up, in the 80s. Probably you too, Jim. I don't know how old you are, but when you're in the 80s, they weren't really that. They were sort of overpriced and underperforming. And then in the 90s,
they were a regular team. Yeah, they were a regular team.
Yeah. And then in the 90s when they got good, when they beat the Cardinals in the what was that, 96, I think it was. And they were sort of I kind of liked that team. And then they got really good, and then it was like, oh man, it's not fun anymore in the late 90s. But yeah, it wasn't. They weren't even like they weren't really a premier team when I was growing up, which sounds weird now to think about.
Yeah, it was a big difference, but that's back when baseball was fun, though. That's back when the Reds could actually compete and would compete. Those days are long gone. But you had a great piece out yesterday, and I'm trying to find it because I read it. And what was it about? I've already forgotten.
It was very memorable. Clearly, it was.
Well, dude, you know how much I read way too much stuff every day. But when something sticks out, I'm like, oh, that's a great piece, and that I just read. But it was yesterday's.
The Landis Sims story with the kid that had.
Oh yes! Oh, incredible! Yeah. From down in Harrison County in southern Indiana. I went to Floyd Central down Floyd County, but Harrison County is right next to Floyd County down there. But what an incredible story that is. I mean, you talk about perseverance, and wow. If you haven't, you need to go to the Indy Star and read this story that Kyle has out. This kid is there. I mean, you have to be motivated beyond motivated to accomplish what this dude has accomplished.
Yeah. A little bit of background on that. He was, this documentary came out about him this week, basically. And they sent me, I did a story on Landis probably a year and a half ago. We went down to, and I'd actually heard about this kid from a referee friend of mine, said, hey, I did this game down in, I don't think it was a friend of mine even. He just said, he was a referee, emailed me and said, hey, I did this game, JV baseball or a basketball game. And there was this kid that had prosthetic legs and, no hands, and he played in the game, and it's like, wow. So we went down there, Michael McEldowney and I, our photographer, did this, basically kind of followed him around for a day. It was did a story more about his basketball playing, but come to find out, Eric Cochran, this the guy who does documentaries on in California, and he'd been following Landis around for like 8 years, and so he, I ended up talking to him. The movie came out this week, and it's on. They sent me a link so I could watch it ahead of time, but it's really story of perseverance, and there's definitely some laughs in the movie. It's about 90 minutes long. It's really good. They did a great job of kind of going behind the scenes with him. And a big part of it is the improvement in his prosthetics. Kind of the end goal for this movie was, Landis getting a chance to play for his high school baseball team. That was kind of the goal of his all along. So they followed that journey. That was the sort of the end of the story. And I won't give away what happened there, but, and he's still in high school at South Central in Elizabeth, like you said, rural school, kind of on the Ohio River there. But he's, so he ends up, that's the end of the movie, but it does a great job kind of showing how not only his journey, but how the prosthetics improve throughout to kind of allow him to even be able to try to play baseball. Because obviously with no hands and no legs, I mean, there's a lot of things that have to help him along the way. So he's a great kid. His mom is absolutely phenomenal too. Talking to her, she's been a big help, as far as when I did the original story and then again here recently, but and Eric Cochran did a great job. I thought, kind of, they even had like old home videos from when he was really little and interviews with his grandfather who's since passed away. And, it's just really good stuff. I mean, it's really emotional type of a message. And, he's getting a chance. I think he threw out the first pitch at Yankee Stadium. He's throwing out the first
last night. That's why the Reds won, baby. That's why the Reds won.
He went to I think he's in San Diego tonight or tomorrow night. He's going to
Goes up to San Francisco. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, so he's going some different places, but yeah, so it's really cool. Joe Musgrove, who pitches for the Padres, is part of this movie too. He helped him sort of along the way. They became friends. He texts with him all the time. So Landis is really, he's very mature, I would say, for his age. He's got to experience a lot of things probably other kids haven't, but obviously is fighting a lot of different things that most kids can't even imagine. So it's really cool. I mean, he's a great kid. I mean, he really is. And to be able to tell his little bit of his story was fun for me, and to watch the movie was just incredible.
Talk about his ability to hit. I mean, this is a guy who has as he just described, and can hit.
Yeah, and one of the parts of the movie I think kind of shows how that's possible. The problem he had, he could always hold a bat. He could kind of hold it in the inside. He's a left-handed hitter, so the inside pitches he didn't really have a problem with. And he's got a very natural, that kind of that lefty swing that's natural. And you have to kind of watch it to see what I'm talking about, but. He's just a natural hitter, and they show him when he's little, like real little, just scooting around and swinging a bat along the ground. And he's just, he's very natural with that, but they needed help like for the outside pitches and to extend as far as he can. They had to kind of create a, something where he could hold the bat a little bit better and get extension on his swing. And they were sort of able to figure that out for him. So, that was sort of a game changer too. And you'll see in the movie when you watch it, I mean, how that comes to be, but yeah, he's just, and he works at it, he really does, like anybody has to, him probably 20-fold, he really works at it. He'll put the time in, to make himself better. And, the throwing part is obviously that's another problem that he had, and fielding and movement and side to side, but basically he's sort of hitting sort of his thing, and he does that really well. So that's kind of that's the crux really of the whole process is his hitting. But, he's figured out ways to throw the ball too, which is really fun. It'll kind of take you inside that a little bit too. But yeah, his hitting is really where it's at. I mean, it's really remarkable how he can hit the ball.
And I guarantee he could probably hit better than I could. And it is amazing. But that shows you what determination does. And he's clearly a determined kid. I mean, you talk about his maturity. Well, obviously he's been forced to mature beyond most of us could ever dream of. So, but yeah, it's just a great story. Go read the article. But also it's a documentary that's available, wide release too. I mean, it's on all the different streaming sources, whether like Prime, I know I'm gonna be able to watch it on Prime because I saw it's on Prime, it's on Apple, it's on basically everything, I think, right?
Yeah, I'd have to go back. The two you mentioned, I know for sure, and then I think other places as well. They did a private screening down in, I think, Jeffersonville the other night. But yeah, so that, and I was lucky enough they sent me a link to watch it, and I could watch it that way. But yeah, it'll be on all the all the major streaming services, and it's really. I would really definitely recommend it. I'm not just saying that because I know him, but I just really like the message and the stuff Eric did, you too, to gather all that. That took I mean, you're playing the long game. You're talking about, and he's like, talking to him on the phone, or we did a Zoom call the other day, and he's like, I had to figure out where the story would end because I could have just kept doing this forever, and so and it was 8 years. It was 8 years of working on this. So talk about playing the long game. I mean, this is not a quick turn type of story. So, that credit to him too for having the vision. He just happened to see this kid at a Wounded Warriors softball game out in Landis. I think was 8 years old at that time. So, he had that vision, and then he got to know the family and it became the vision. So credit to him too for sticking that out. And, I know he's not making money hand over fist with this. So that was really a kind of a visionary type of a situation too, for him to get involved and do that.
Yeah. I remember reading in your story, wherever he was that he saw Landis, that he was there. Like you said, it took all of 90 seconds and I knew it was like, boom, he saw this kid. But yeah, obviously he sounds like a very, very special kid, and special stands out a lot. So great story though, and make sure you go to the Indy Star and read that story by Kyle. It's awesome, but all his stuff is great. Not that this wasn't your story, but I saw the old high school gym that's been turned into a house. I think Dana wrote that story, but I forget where that was. Wilkinson, the old Wilkinson High School gym's been turned into a house.
And you can buy it for $250,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wilkinson was not a great looker from the outside, I'll tell you that. But
I've actually been there. I did when I did my old gyms project years ago. I stopped there. I'd heard that was and I think the school part was still around at that time. It had it had part of the school with it, and they tore that part down. So but now it's or at least part of the school anyway. But yeah, I was inside that, and it's the old Eastern Hancock. I think their original when Eastern Hancock opened that high school, and it's really neat. I mean, they've obviously built the house around the gym, and the gym is still there. But when I did a book, I think 12 years ago, Mark Titus actually, nice enough of him he tweeted out the other day that that's one of his favorite coffee table books, and I'm always surprised people are still commenting on that. It makes me feel good, but all these years later. But that was one of the gyms I visited, one of the people I visited, and sure enough, it's up for sale. And there's other places, there's one up the road from us up in Fayette that people lived in the stage part of it, and that one I think is still for sale. And the gym was like a storage area, but the basket is still, one of the baskets is still up there. So there's others around the state. People just don't know, when they come viral like that, then people find out, but there's a lot of others that are similar that way.
I bet, because of all the consolidations, and ironically, this particular gym, Wilkinson, is located, I don't know how many miles it is, but it can't be far from Knightstown. So the Hoosier Gym is just down the road. It's northeast of Indianapolis. Looks like about, 30 minutes thereabouts. But it's not too far from the Hoosier Gym.
No, like I said, it's Eastern Hancock, which, I think butts up pretty close to Knightstown there, so it's not far away at all. But yeah, like I said, there's a lot of those places that you probably wouldn't even know they're there unless a story like this goes viral like it does. So, but yeah, I mean, there's less of them than there used to be. These places, even in the last 12 years since I did the book, there's some of them have been torn down, and and like the Hope Gym, wrote about that back in the spring. That caught on fire, and I'm sure will be, either just torn down or sitting crumbling for the next several years. But that's the sad part of it is it's hard to renovate these places. You know, it costs money to pour into them. And then what are you going to do? How are you going to make money off of them? You know, it's hard to find a purpose for them sometimes, unfortunately. So in these towns, a lot of them are kind of dying anyway, you know, so there's not a lot of money flowing through these places anymore.
Well, we got to get you out of here today. Kyle's got a meeting to get to, and we don't want to make him late. But thank you very much. Make sure you give him a follow at the Indy Star and be a subscriber. I am. Kyle's got nothing but great stuff up, brother. Appreciate you as always.
All right. See you, Jim. See you, Dylan. Thank you.
Thank you.